Welcome into the postgame show, everybody. Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. I'm Dan Tanner, your host for our Denver Nuggets postgame show. In the paint, huge bounce back win for the Nuggets tonight in Indianapolis, Indiana. They get the 125-116 victory over the Pacers in a game I was really looking for. I talked about this after the Nuggets blowout loss at home Saturday night against the Los Angeles Lakers. And I said on Saturday night, this 4-game road trip is really going to show us a lot about the makeup of this Denver Nuggets basketball team. And before we really get into the game itself, I just kind of wanted to set this up as you look at this 4-game road trip and you've got the Bucks and you've got the Celtics. Those are the two, in this era, former champions. In the Jokic era, we'll call it. Those are the games you initially look at. But let's not look over this Indiana Pacers basketball team, okay? Because they have been fantastic since the beginning of the new year. In fact, since January 1st, before tonight's game, they had the best record in the NBA at 16-5. So this was a basketball team that was coming into tonight's game on absolute fire over in the Eastern Conference, to the point where, they got all the way up to the 4 seed in the East. Now, with their loss to the Nuggets tonight, the Pacers are technically in the 5 seed. They're tied record-wise with the Milwaukee Bucks, but the Bucks have the tiebreaker. So this was not one of the easier games, if you will, on the 4-game road trip. In fact, I was listening to Kaz and Berto driving home, and Kaz said this could be sneakily the toughest game on the road trip for the Denver Nuggets. And I thought the Nuggets came out tonight with a purpose. It was really good seeing Jamal Murray getting going early on in this game. I mean, he was on fire to start that second quarter, 4 of 4 from beyond the arc. Then he gets his third foul. That kind of cooled him off a little bit. It was one of those games where it looked like Jamal Murray was in for just a monster scoring night. He ends up just going 6 of 12 from the field, 16 points. So really, after that hot streak to start the second, gets in foul trouble. He only scored 2 points after that. So you could tell that the foul trouble, him having to have extended time on the bench, definitely messed with his rhythm in tonight's game. But the good news for the Nuggets is this was another game where, Nikola Jokic, he takes 7 shots against the Lakers. Well, he only took 14 tonight in Indianapolis. He really was looking to distribute the basketball. And this has really become a pattern for Nikola Jokic, specifically when a lot of the other guys struggle in the previous game. Nikola Jokic, you can tell, comes out with a purpose to distribute the basketball early and often. I mean, that's exactly what we saw tonight. In fact, a season high 19 assists. It might be a career high. I'll have to double check on that. But 19 assists for Nikola Jokic in tonight's basketball game. Pretty sure about 14 of those came in the fourth quarter to Christian Brown. My goodness, that was impressive from CB. We'll get into him in just a little bit. But that's something that I really love about Nikola Jokic. He understands not only the team they're playing, but he understands his guys as well. And I thought he made a very good point to get out in this basketball game early on and get his guys involved. And, the difference, one of the big differences from tonight's performance from Nikola Jokic versus Saturday night's, I don't think Joker played all that much better tonight, although he did play better tonight than he did against the Lakers. But I don't think the gap there was anything significant. The difference was his teammates were making shots. I mean, that helps a lot. And Indiana, they kind of played Joker weird. It seemed like they couldn't figure out whether they wanted to double team him or just straight up guard him one-on-one. And whatever they were doing, Nikola Jokic was making him pay for it. Like I said, 19 assists, 9 rebounds for Joker, just misses out on yet another triple-double. He was 9 of 14 shooting from the field, so super efficient night from Nikola. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. Look, The Nuggets won this game by 9 points. If they don't turn the basketball over as much as they did, they probably win this game by 25. I mean, that's how well they were playing on the offensive end. Not a good sign. That's one of the negatives for me coming out of tonight's game was 20 turnovers against the Lakers, 19 against the Indiana Pacers tonight. And it really led to a lot of easy transition buckets for the Pacers offense. I thought the Nuggets half-court defense tonight was tremendous. A lot of the Pacers' points came in the transition fast break opportunity area of the game, but cut those turnovers in half, and the Nuggets win this game by 25 points. I mean, they absolutely dominated this game, except for the turnovers. So, incredible bounce back win for the Nuggets. Again, this it's the first of 4 road games. Okay, the test isn't over for me as far as like how is this team going to bounce back from the loss to the Lakers and just sort of overall prove to themselves that they can beat really good basketball teams. Because a lot of the talk was, and I think rightfully so, the 9-game win streak came against all teams under 500 that are not in the playoff picture. So now's a chance for them to prove on the road against 4 very good basketball teams that they are able to hang with these guys. And I think tonight was obviously an excellent start to that. So kudos to the Nuggets. Christian Brown was unbelievable in that fourth quarter. He had 10 of his 17 points in that fourth quarter. Joker was just looking for him like every single time down the floor. In fact, he had that one play towards the end of the game there where he literally catches a pass from Joker midair, turns around and lays it in. And at that point, I'm like, this thing is over. So that was really cool to see. Another thing I really liked about tonight's game, this was the most physical I can remember the Nuggets being in quite some time. And not just like handling another team's physicality. The Nuggets were initiating the physicality tonight. Look at that play Michael Porter Jr. had in the fourth quarter where he's bodying a guy on the baseline and bullies his way in for an easy layup. Like, oh my goodness, sign me up for more of that, because that's something that has been missing from Michael Porter Jr.'s game basically his entire career. And, Scott Hastings talks about this all the time. I wouldn't say he calls him soft, but he says that Michael isn't like the physicality, and it bugs him. It bothers his game. In the playoffs over the last couple of years, we've seen teams really get physical with Michael, and that's what slows him down. And the reason he's been so successful against the Lakers over the last couple of years in the playoffs is because the Lakers, at least at the time, weren't a super physical basketball team, and Michael thrived in that situation. So that was really good to see tonight. I mean, the Pacers are a very, very physical team. They're a very deep team. That was something I thought. I mean, Aaron Gordon was super physical tonight also. So that was something that, like, I took away. I was like, wow, they can do that. They can take the physicality to other teams and have success that way. So that was absolutely fantastic to see. Zeke Naji off the bench, 14 points in 24 minutes, 6 of 8 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks. I got to say, like, round of applause for Zeke Naji. And, he's been playing well over the last couple of weeks. Look, this was a guy who was dead in the water even just a month or so ago with this basketball team, okay? And trust me, I criticized him a lot on this show. A lot of people around town were not happy with Zeke Naji. Remember around the trade deadline, it was like, how do the Nuggets get rid of Zeke Naji's contract? Whatever they do, don't even look for a player. Just get rid of the contract so that it opens up cap space moving forward. I mean, I don't want to go out as far on a limb and say that the Nuggets did this particularly on purpose, because Calvin Booth did say that they were shopping Zeke Naji at the deadline. He actually did say that. But one of the best moves that could have happened for the Nuggets at the deadline was not getting rid of Zeke Naji. And I tell you what, if you can just get a little bit of offense out of Zeke, and he continues to play the way he is on the defensive end of the floor, he's going to keep playing. He's going to keep getting minutes. The way he was running out to the three-point line tonight, contesting shots, it was bothering the Pacers' outside shooters. So as much as everybody has criticized Zeke Naji, myself included, you got to give him props to where props is due, because he has been absolutely fantastic this year for the Denver Nuggets. So that was absolutely fantastic to see. All right, before we keep diving deeper into the game, I did want to get to something fun here from pregame. It was Altitude TV's Katie Winge, and obviously the NFL Draft Combine is in Indianapolis right now, with the Nuggets being in Indy. Sean Payton and the Broncos brass is there. So, Sean, if you missed it earlier today, we were talking about it on our show. Sean rented out a suite at the Pacers arena for he and some of the Broncos brass and the media muggles that are there covering the Broncos. And Katie Winge was able to catch up with Sean Payton after the game. Let's hear what Katie and Shawnee Poo had to say.
Coach, so you're obviously in town for the Combine. What made you want to bring your group to take in a Nuggets game?
We're here early, so it officially starts tomorrow. And there's always, a lot of times there's a home game during that week stretch for Indiana. You just don't know how it falls. And then all of a sudden, Patrick mentioned, hey, Denver's playing here. So it's the first time for me to watch these guys play. And I'm talking about Denver. And meet Coach Malone and his staff. It's exciting.
First time meeting head coach Michael Malone. What do you admire about him as a coach?
I think there's a grit and a toughness that you can feel
cool.
when you watch. He's the son of a coach. One of our assistants lives in his neighborhood, so I always hear these stories. And, there's a passion. And it's you got to be yourself. So these guys all have different personalities, but you feel his passion, and you can see it in his team.
All right, so good stuff there from Katie Winge with Sean Payton, obviously there with the Broncos brass at the Combine. Just cool to hear Sean talk about Michael Malone there. And he's so right in what he says. Like, you just got to be yourself. Like, that's who Malone is, okay? He's an intense dude. He's ultra competitive. Michael Malone might be the most competitive person in the Nuggets organization. That's how competitive he is. And I always go back to the end of last year when the Nuggets lost in round 2, game 7 at home to the Timberwolves. I was in the press room for Malone's post-game press conference. You could hear the Timberwolves locker room blasting music. They were going berserk. And I've never seen Michael Malone more pissed off in my life. And he wasn't pissed necessarily at, anyone in particular. He was very short with his answers, but the reason he was so upset, it was just he is so damn competitive that it really, really pissed him off the way that series went down. But it's just cool to see Sean Payton there supporting the Nuggets, supporting head coach Michael Malone, and seeing, neighbors, if you will, of the Mile High City come together. And it was cool that just the timing worked out in order for them to do that. So really cool stuff. Obviously, like you heard Sean say there, it's the Combine really starts tomorrow. So tonight was a good night for them to get out and have a little bit of fun, because they're going to get to work starting tomorrow. So that was really cool to see. I just wanted to play that for you guys, and I thought that was a cool moment before the game. And we'll see if Jeff Legwold decided to attend the event or not. We'll have him on either tomorrow or Wednesday to decide that. But we're going to hear tomorrow, just programming note on Columbus Hastings and DMAC. We'll have George Payton and Sean Payton talking at the Combine tomorrow. We'll carry those press conferences live, and then hopefully sometime after 1 o'clock Mountain Time, we'll be joined by Nuggets head coach Michael Malone on the show tomorrow. So should be in a cheerful mood after tonight's 125-116 victory over the Indiana Pacers. Excellent win from the Nuggets tonight. And Aaron Gordon tonight, I thought, was the most impactful player in this game outside of Nikola Jokic. He was phenomenal. He only played 24 minutes, took 17 shots, made 11 of them, 2 of 4 from 3. Boy, has that been just a huge asset for the Nuggets this year when Aaron Gordon is able to knock down those outside 3-point shots, because it makes the Nuggets nearly impossible to guard when he's able to do that. And he's hitting him at a 42.5% clip this year, which is a career high for Aaron Gordon. So that was really cool to see. That's something that I know we've talked to Aaron Gordon about this. He has talked about this quite a bit, that he's really, really worked on his outside jump shot over the offseason, really over the last couple of off seasons. So it's really cool to see it paying dividends for him this year. It's just such an asset for this team to have a guy like that really is just on paper supposed to be a guy that just kind of sits in the dunker position and waits for a pass from Nikola Jokic to dunk the basketball or rebound or defend. For him to be able to extend and spread out the court, spread out that defense, and knock down 3-pointers is a huge asset for this team. So that was really, really good to see as well. And then obviously, like I said, Christian Braun was phenomenal in the fourth quarter. He really sealed the deal in this one for the Denver Nuggets, specifically down the stretch. Indy kept clawing their way back in this thing. You could kind of feel them getting the momentum in this basketball game. And Christian Braun just kind of calms it down as the Nuggets were able to convert in the half court and really get quiet the crowd, kill the Pacers' momentum. I thought Christian Braun was absolutely phenomenal tonight. There's been a lot of talk of, should Christian Braun be taken out of the starting lineup for Russell Westbrook? I think tonight answered a lot of those questions. Now, who knows? A lot of this could be matchup based, and I'm sure that's how Malone will play it throughout the remainder of the regular season. But I got to say, I don't really see a world in which Christian Braun goes to the bench at this point, unless it's for like specific defensive purposes. But CB is an excellent defender as well. So, a lot of the talk was, well, maybe Russ is better getting out to the 3-point line and running guys off the line. The Nuggets got their asses chewed after that Lakers game, or at least it looked like it, because they were running everybody off the 3-point line tonight. And, the Pacers were hitting some 3-pointers. They shot 32.6% tonight, 14 of 43, not great. Halliburton hit some deep threes, but the threes that the Pacers were making tonight were like very low percentage shots. Now, granted, some of them were open, but they were deep 3-pointers. So the Nuggets weren't letting them get closer to the line, take a higher percentage 3-point attempt. And when they weren't open, the Nuggets were running them off the line and really, really affecting their shots in that way. So that was excellent to see as well tonight from the Denver Nuggets. Just an all-around great game from them. The one other concern, well, first, actually, before I get to Julian Strawther, I did want to mention, I talked about after the Lakers game, I was really surprised in that game to see Hunter Tyson in with the second unit over Jalen Pickett. Well, tonight we saw Jalen Pickett instead of Hunter Tyson. And Jalen Pickett, I thought, he only played 4 minutes, but those were a very impactful 4 minutes for that second unit. He had that awesome little shot over the backboard right before the shot clock expired. A couple of really nice drives to the lane. He finishes 2 of 3 with 4 points. But again, I would be really surprised at this point in the season if we see Coach Malone decide to go the route of Hunter Tyson over Jalen Pickett. To me, it just doesn't make much sense right now. Jalen Pickett is a guy, and luckily the team is mostly healthy, knocking on wood, that Jalen, for as well as he has played over the last month or so of the season when he's gotten in there, there's just not going to be enough minutes for him. But it really is good to know that Malone has a guy that he can trust that can come in and really be the floor general of that second unit. I've talked about that for a while now. And Jalen Pickett really does seem like he's developing into an Andre Miller type of role, if you will, with this team. So that was really good to see. I was happy to see Coach Malone make that decision. Nothing against Hunter Tyson. I think he's got a, decent NBA future ahead of him. I'm not going to oversell him. I'm not super high on Hunter Tyson, but I like Hunter Tyson. I think he can provide teams with good outside shooting. He's a really hard basketball player, intense basketball player. He dives for loose balls. Like, he does all the little things right. But what Jalen Pickett is giving this team over Hunter Tyson, to me, is just exponential right now. So I really like that decision from Coach Malone tonight to play Jalen Pickett over Hunter Tyson. Okay, last thing before we get out of here and I read some of your comments. Julian Strawther is really struggling. 14 minutes tonight, just 1 of 4 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, 4 points. 2 of his 4 points came from the free throw stripe, just 1 rebound, 2 assists, and a turnover. Julian is in a stage right now in his second year where if he doesn't get it figured out within the next couple of weeks, he might be slipping out of the playoff rotation. I mean, honestly, ask yourself this question, okay? And I know this might sound very weird to hear, and even a couple of weeks ago, I would have said the same thing myself. Who would you feel more comfortable with being on the court right now for the Nuggets, Jalen Pickett or Julian Strawther? Right now, to me, it's Jalen Pickett. Now, obviously, Julian Strawther has much more talent. They're different players. I understand that. Julian is a much better outside shooter. But the consistency is the key. And this is something that I've talked about with, veterans, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. Consistency. That's the key with this team. Julian has had some great stretches this year. He's had some really, really high highs, but he's also had some really low lows. And right now he's in the valley. There's no doubt about that. He is struggling mightily. You can tell when he's out there, he's struggling with his confidence. Look, I saw Michael Porter Jr. struggle with his confidence tonight a little bit. I mean, there were several wide open shots that he had that he hesitated and did not take the shot. Now, what Michael did tonight that I loved is something we've talked about a bunch in the past. When he starts struggling shooting the ball, he's starting to understand to get to the rim, see the ball go in. I talked about his ultra physical play late in the fourth quarter where he's bullying a dude on the baseline, gets in for the layup. You could tell that was building Michael Porter Jr.'s confidence back up. You could see it. It was obvious. So that's something I would like to see Julian Strawther try and pick up a little bit. When the shot's not falling, get to the rim. Try and draw a foul at minimum. Tonight, you could just tell that he was very hesitant on his three-point attempts and just looks like he's, quite honestly, lacking a little bit of confidence right now from the youngsters. So this is going to be an important stretch for Julian Strawther over the next, couple of weeks. These are, especially for a guy like him, this is really his audition for the playoffs. It really is. And we'll see if he's going to be a part of it, because I'll tell you this, they're going to need outside shooting in the playoffs, and Julian certainly can do that. But this Nuggets team, man, I tell you, like Jekyll and Hyde, as far as tonight, they just blitzed the Pacers in the painted area. I mean, that's where they won this game. They were absolutely dominant in the paint. They outscored the Pacers 74-46 in the paint tonight. So it is good to see that the Nuggets can win in the half court. They can beat you in the painted area. And if they need to, they can beat you from the 3-point line. But this is the strength of the Nuggets. This type of basketball we saw tonight, this style of play we saw tonight, where they just hammer teams in the painted area. I mean, 74-46. That's a huge number. The Nuggets just let the Pacers live at the free throw line, and they turned the ball over 19 times. Like, that's why this was only a 9-point game. Really, just watching the game, the Nuggets easily could have won this thing by 25 points or more. I mean, that's how well they played tonight, other than the turnovers and, allowing fast break points to the Pacers and letting them live at the free throw line. So hey, all in all, excellent win for the Denver Nuggets tonight. They improved to 38-20 on the season. They're back in the 2 seed. Okay, so Memphis is sitting at 37-20. The Nuggets are now 38-20. So it'll be an interesting battle as far as those 2 through really 5 seeds are all going to be very fluid right now and malleable over the next couple of weeks because there's only 2.5 games that separates the Nuggets in the 2 seed from the Rockets in the 5 seed. And then you've got the Lakers and Memphis in between. I actually would not be surprised at all if we see the Lakers end up being a top 3 seed this year because of the way they looked against the Nuggets on Saturday. The Luka LeBron thing, like I said, Saturday looks like it's going to work. But the Nuggets are in a good spot. I mean, they've won 10 out of their last 11. Joker's playing great. Jamal looks like he's really, really starting to feel good, and that's awesome. And Michael, lost his confidence over the last couple of games, but it looked like he started to get that back tonight, which was excellent to see because that's another key factor for them, especially when it comes to the outside shooting. But that's going to do it for the postgame show tonight, everybody. Again, the Nuggets beat the Pacers 125-116, your final. Nikola Jokic, 19 assists for the Joker tonight. Man, isn't it great when, the others, as I call them, make their shots? Nikola Jokic's assist totals go through the roof when his teammates are actually knocking down the shots that they're supposed to. 3 games left on this road trip at Milwaukee coming up on Thursday. So a couple of days off for the Nuggets. That'll be a good little break here on this road trip. Then at Detroit on Friday. So they'll have a back-to-back in Milwaukee and Detroit. And the Pistons are playing well this year. I mean, they're a playoff team. That's not going to be a cakewalk. They're 6th in the East right now at 31-26. Cade Cunningham's one of the better just pure scorers in the game. So, and then they end the road trip in Boston. So this is not going to be an easy 3-game stretch to round out this road trip for the Nuggets. But excellent start tonight, and we'll see what they can do coming up on Thursday in Milwaukee against the Bucks. But that's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio 92.5.